Hey guys, back in the workshop, and guess what? It's warmer, a lot warmer, 15-16 degrees today. It's absolutely brilliant. So no overcoat, no double fleece, just single fleece, which is really good. Anyway, the Mystic, what are we doing? Well, I'm now moving my attention to the front of the fuse. Mainly I want to get the fuel tank fitted and sorted and the plate for the undercarriage. So that's primarily what this is about, cutting the ply plate and then messing around fitting the tank in the front of the fuselage so I can then close that off. So anyway, over to the building board. So a bit of a change here. I've got my trusty table saw out. It's a Proxon table saw, mainly because I've chopping the 12mm ply that I'm going to use for the undercarriage mount. And my brother said to me after watching on a couple of videos ago, when I was doing the ply standoff blocks for the engine, he said, "Oh, why do you use the laser? Why didn't you use your circular or your bench saw?" Yeah, fair enough. Good point. So that's what I'm using. So I've just got to trim this now to size, using obviously a pusher, not getting my fingers anywhere near that rotating blade. So all clear. Nicely done, nice cut. It's a lovely machine to use, I must admit. And obviously when you're cutting straight lines like this, it's a lot quicker than the laser. So let's just put that to one side. And get the fuselage So the idea is that the undercarriage is going to fit on here. So that's the plate I need, which is going to be epoxied on there. And then using the balsa in the kit, which is provided, basically frame up round this opening here. And then there's an infill or trap lid, whatever you want to call it, that sits inside like that. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'm following up to a point the plans. The plans call for obviously wire undercarriage, then you put this balsa strip here and here, but like I say, I'm going to replace that with my ply engine mount, undercarriage mount. But before I stick that, the first thing I need to do, or the next thing I need to do with this, is to get the carbon composites undercarriage, and that will sit on that plate like so, and I've got to drill holes through here for the undercarriage mount on the plate, and I'll use T-nuts in there to mount it. In all probability I will just put 2 bolts in there, don't need 3. You could put 1, 2 and a third at the back, but I'm just going to put 2, one there and one there, and there'll be 5mm bolts that I'll do. So I'll do that off camera, and when you come back hopefully this will all be ready for gluing to the fuselage. Right, a few minutes later, holes drilled, T-nuts fitted with a bit of super glue underneath them just to keep them located. And the idea being now, I'll mark the front, that's going to go like so and be epoxied in place. But I don't want to put that in place because I want to fit the tank first of all. And the tank I'm going to use this tank. I'm not going to use the supply, but I'm going to use a rectangular tank here. Bearing in mind I've got to have 2 feeds or 2 clunks in this, but I'll look at that later. So the idea is this is going to be mounted like so in there. So what I want to do now is just measure here the support, and then I'm going to make a tank bearer or plate for this tank to sit on, which will sit inside here. I'll have bearers glued to the ply, doublers, then the tank platform. Tank will sit on top, and a zip tie can go round there to hold it in place. There's sufficient room here between the feeds out of the tank, or the outlets from the tank, and the bulkhead for me to manoeuvre them around. Bear in mind I've got my engine standoff plate there, so I can't come straight out of there with the feed pipes. They'll be coming at an angle, but that's not a problem. I've got plenty of room to manoeuvre. So that's the idea. That's a I think that's a 550cc, yeah, 550cc tank, which should be more than adequate for the V-twin. So that's what I've got to do now. Measure, cut some bearers, design a tank platform with some holes cut out and slots for the Velcro. I'll cut that on the laser cutter, and then come back when I'm going to stick it in place. Okay, so I've designed and cut out the tank plate, mounting plate or platform here. Had a bit of ply that came in some cardboard packaging, funnily enough. That'll do, it's fine. Cut out some lightning holes as well in there, and I've got the hardwood bearers already in place, as you can see in there, there and there, drilled. I've stuck those in with 5-minute epoxy, pinned them in place using super glue so that they don't move, because I can't get down there and clamp them because it's too deep inside. And the idea is this here, this plate now, should hopefully sit in there like that, and then the tank will sit on it like that there. Obviously it's not level with the bottom here, it's level with the datum of the fuselage, the horizontal datum line of the fuselage. So with that in place, I can now double check to see that when my mounting plate for the undercarriage goes in, I can get to the zip tie that I'm going to be putting in there, and this will fit in there as well over the top of it, sit about like that, which is good. Plenty of space, freedom around, excellent. So that's good. So I've just got to put the zip tie on that, and well, I don't need to because this is demountable anyway. That's the point. Can I get it out whilst that plate's in place? Because if I can, it means I can get on and stick that. Yes, I can. Good. So it's not all dependent on that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to mix some epoxy, some 30-minute epoxy, and stick this in place. I can clamp it using these bearers here, so I can put a clamp between there and the underside of the bearer there, and that'll hold it in place, and then I can get on and make the framework to go around there, which is good. Okay, come back when I've done that. Okay, so moving on from where I left it, I've actually changed, or I changed my plans for the front end. Yes, I put the balsa blocking around there, but instead of using the thick balsa plate that came with it, I laser cut this thin ply surround, and the idea being that then I can put the compartment cover in place like that and screw it down, which I think is a better arrangement. It doesn't need to be that thick balsa. And inside you can see just about the tank platform, the tank tray in there. So the tank will go in like so. Can't do it one-handed, but I've got the zip tie in here, which goes over the tank in the recess there. It's a reusable zip tie as well, so I can just press it down and get it out. So that gives me plenty of space down there for the fuel tubing. Easily accessible, and like I say, the plate then, the lid goes on top there and is secured in place. I've got to sand it a little bit because I need to make a tolerance for the covering that I'm going to use, whatever that may be, either covering film, laminating film or glassing. So anyway, that's all good, that's all done, doesn't interfere with the undercarriage. So yeah, that completes the construction of the front end of the Mystic, and as I said earlier, onto the onto the wing next. So as you've seen from the video, this work that I've done has more or less completed the main work to the fuselage. Obviously the installation of the tank, I've still got to do the fuel tubing and that, but that's an incidental. But the construction work I'm talking about, the tank plate being fixed and the underside of the fuselage and the nose being sorted out with the undercarriage plate. The only other work really of significant time anyway is going to be sanding and shaping the fuselage. There's a lot of sanding to be done, and obviously fitting the cowl, but I'm not going to bother with that until such time as I've got the engine mounted and all the push rods and everything else in place. So really, after this bit of work, it's moving over to the wing, the main wing. So that may well form the main thrust of the next couple of videos. I'm undecided whether to, at this moment in time anyway, whether to just build the wing as an aileron wing or to actually incorporate flaps. I don't know yet, and if I do have flaps, whether it's going to be split flaps or solid flaps. So I'm still mulling over that idea. The kit has obviously the components for full length ailerons as opposed to outer ailerons, but we shall see. So anyway, that will be mulled over, and maybe I'll chew the fat on that as I go through the build video of the wing. Anyway guys, you know the score. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. Please like the video, put comments down below, and I'll get back to you when I can. Thanks for watching. See you on the next one.